How do we get this? Jesus explained what Daniel said in Matthew 24. Then, what Jesus explains, he comes back and narrates to the Apostle John in the book of Revelation. Here's what Jesus said. All these are the beginning of sorrows, birth pains. But when you see all these things, look, that's verse 33. All what things? Well, how does Matthew 24 start? The disciples say to Jesus, I'll read it to you, Matthew 24. The disciples, I'm so glad they asked this. It says, and Jesus said to them, do you not see all these things? Assuredly not one stone, Matthew 24:2, will be left there that's not thrown down. As he sat on the mountain of Olives, verse 3, the disciples came to him privately and said, what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? They said, what is the sign of the end? And Jesus spends all the way through to verse 33 explaining the signs. And he said, when you see all those signs, you know the second coming of Christ is near. Assuredly, I say, the group of people, the generation, will not pass away. The ones that see the signs all at once fulfilled will still be alive when it's done. What were the signs? Well, you all know them. The most prevalent sign is deception. That's Matthew 24, 4, 5, 11, 24, Mark 13, 5, 6, 22, Luke 21, 8. War and violence and murder and killing. By the way, the parentheses are where they are in Revelation. The white is where they are in Jesus' gospel sermon. Food scarcity. It's going to come to a time where people are going to be like they are in Gaza Strip right now. People are desperately just searching for food and water. There are going to be pandemics. In fact, God says there are going to be such pandemics that half of all the people on earth are going to die just from the pandemics. Unbelievable. There's going to be hatred of God and persecution. There are going to be quakes. Did you see they've had 1,000 earthquakes? Well, they had by yesterday. In Iceland, they said, we're going to have a big volcano. And there's going to be, right now, Italy is on alert. There's a volcano that hasn't erupted in 100 years that's huge in Italy that is scaring about 1 million people that live around it. There are going to be global fires and smoke and gloom and volcanoes. The Bible talks about solar flares, near-Earth objects, asteroids, rocks landing on the Earth. There are going to be hurricanes and typhoons. It talks about, in Luke 21, that there's going to be storms so big that it's going to make people die of fear. The ocean is going to die. Water's going to run out. And then look how the last sign, there's going to be an alien invasion. And guess what? Captain America, the Hulk, and Thor are not going to be able to stop it. And neither will, Iron Man or Dr. whatever his name was, the one that does all the witchcraft. What are the trends? Jesus said you're going to see birth pangs. What are they? Number one, global diseases are going to get more and more lethal. There have always been global diseases. It's just they're going to get wider and deeper. Global warming, if you look at the tree rings of ancient trees like California sequoias, the bristlecone pines that grow in the mountains, you can detect thousands of years of environmental change. And what you see is there are dry and hot years, and there are wet and growy years. And what global warming has been on a cycle, but guess what? It's going to get stuck on hot. If you have your stove dial, it's going to get stuck on high. And global warming is going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. Global water shortages are going to get worse and worse and worse. It says that people are going to die for no water in Revelation. Food scarcity is going to get more frequent. Have you thought about the fact that, not here, but in the major food-producing places, they're using genetically modified seeds? Do you know what that means? It means you can't plant a seed and grow anything. You can only buy one from them. They make them so you can't replant the corn, the wheat, the anything. They've genetically modified it so it's disease-resistant and non-propagatable. Imagine what happens if something happens to Monsanto, the one that makes all the GMO seeds. What happens when they don't sell you seeds? You can't grow anything. Now, a lot of resistance all over the world is to that. All the European Union, they don't want, and I don't think they probably use much here, but in the huge commercial farms that produce half the world's food, they use that stuff. Global conflicts, do I even need to comment on that? Did you know that arms sales, this was the biggest year of arms sales? Never has more weaponry been built than this year. More than World War II, more than World War I, more than Korea, more than Vietnam, more than the Gulf War this year. Global conflicts are getting bigger and deadlier. Global hatred for Christ, who is the King of the what? Jews. Jesus Christ is the King of the Jews. There's more hatred for Christ, Christians, and the Jews than any time in history right now. There's a more concerted hatred, and it's only going to get more personal. And by the way, we're going to get roped into it. It talks about the saints and the Jewish people hated. And by the way, global tracking. Bonnie and I travel. We rent cars like that car out there. I remember we were in Thailand, and I pulled the gas hose out, put it in the car, and just then my phone went ding. And I looked down, and it was my credit card company. It said, someone is using your card in Thailand. And I thought, wow. My credit card, I poked into the gas machine there to buy gasoline. It went up to the top of the building, through their little radar dish, up to a satellite, went down, and went to Omaha, Nebraska. That's where every credit card transaction in America is processed, in Omaha, Nebraska. It went there, and in Omaha, they said, oh, they live in Colorado. Their card is being used in Chiang Mai. I'm not sure someone might have stolen it. And so they texted me. MasterCard knew where I was. They knew my phone number. They knew what I just did, and they knew how to contact me. Did you know that's nothing? We don't even think about that. Did I say anything revolutionary? No. All of you. Facebook knows where you are right now if you use Facebook. Apple, if you have an Apple phone, it knows right where its phone is. We don't think anything about that, except that's never been possible until your generation. Never. That was unknown. That means right now that 2/3 of the world is constantly being tracked at all times. Everybody that has a cell phone, somebody knows where they are all the time. And your telecom, your phone provider, that's only going to get more complete. So basically what this little apocalypse in chapter 24 to 27 and Jesus' explanation of it is, Jesus said that you'll know it's the end of the world when all the birth pains, these signs, become more visible. Guess what? You can look on Facebook Live and see on your phone everybody that's broadcasting on Facebook Live right now on a global map. There are people on every continent, in every people group of the world that are broadcasting their kid riding or playing soccer or a concert. Everything that happens is becoming visible to everybody at once. Then these events are going to get closer together. The food shortage, the water shortage, whatever. They're going to get more intense.